So we recorded the main part of this video that you're about to see on Monday. It's now Wednesday, and we got some news and we started to record some inner scenes on yesterday because there's been a title announcement. Whether it's legit or not, or one of them is legit, we don't know. So there's Spider-Man Phone Home, Spider-Man Home Record, and Spider-Man Home Slice.
So, all leaked by the three main cast. So, yeah, we made this yesterday when there was just two titles about an hour or two before Zendaya's third title release. So far, as of this recording on Wednesday afternoon, there's not been any more news, but we're going to be talking about this at the end of the video. So either if you don't want to watch the entire video or want to watch the first 10 minutes, there'll be a timestamp for when this is when we're going to talk about this. But enjoy the rest of the video.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Fortune Theory. I know it's been a week, but here we are again for our next installment in our video podcasts. So this week, we're pretty much just going to get into it now. We're going to be talking about MCU Spider-Man 3. So as usual, I'm Oliver, and this is Patrick.
How you doing, guys?
So we're going to be talking about Tom Holland's MCU Spider-Man 3 film. That's due to come out, I believe, December 17th this year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's dependent on the coronavirus. Speculation, but hopefully by then everyone in the UK and perhaps elsewhere has had their vaccines by that point, so it's being rolled out quite quick, so hopefully that film should be released when it is. They pretty much,
regardless, it should be coming out on Disney Plus anyway. I mean, it depends if they want a theatrical release at the same time, which, I mean, again, like you said, depending on vaccines and everything, but
depends on the Disney rights regarding that, but we'll get into that later in the video. So yeah, to start with, I thought we'd talk about probably one of the biggest questions that the audience has, the title. So
speculation.
The title for Spider-Man 3, it's not even out yet, but this is speculation from fans. This is our speculation, and this is what logically could make sense based off what we're going to say. So Kevin Feige and a few other people have confirmed that each Spider-Man film will have the word home in its subtitle, because they're not going to go Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2 and 3, because they've done that with the Tobey Maguire films. Again, something we'll get to in a bit. It's going to be home is the word. So we've had Spider-Man Homecoming, we've had Spider-Man Far From Home. Now we've got a new film on the horizon. And I'm going to go to Patrick and I'm going to ask him what he thinks the next.
Well, as we've talked about, and well, yes, if it is going to definitely include home, like you said, it could possibly be something like Home Free. I think you were mentioning to me before, and something like that. I mean, personally, where do I think it could go? I was thinking of Home and Away, TV series, Spider-Man Home and Away,
Spider-Man Homefront.
Yeah,
that's Spider-Man home again because he's back in New York. That would be one of the things I'd say. Home Sweet Home was a meme that was going online a while ago. Sort of a metaphorical joke on the sense that yes, he's back in sweet New York where everyone wants to fucking kill him because of the end credit scene from Spider-Man Home, Far From Home, Home Sweet Home. The reason I'd say Home Free is because obviously it's home, which is in the title, and obviously free.
Sort of like a play on word almost.
Play on word with it being the third installment in the trilogy. Sorry, my cat's just under me. And yeah, play on words with that. And also because he doesn't want to be a fugitive of the law anymore. He just wants to be free. He's back home from his vacation, from a stressful vacation in the second film now. He's got his girlfriend, MJ. He doesn't want to have to deal with all this stress that the cliffhanger left off. Obviously Mysterio's dead, but they're saying that Spider-Man murdered him. J. Jonah Jameson is there helping Mysterio reveal his identity to the world, making him a fugitive for Mysterio's crimes. And, now obviously the third film picks up with that storyline of everyone knowing who Spider-Man is, which isn't a very common thing, but it has happened in the comic books. So, yeah, Home Free, basically just how he wants to be. He wants to be free from, all the stress. He just, the term home free, what does that mean to you Patrick, like the term home free as
I
a
mean,
phrase?
it could mean a bunch of things, really. It's almost, it could be like sort of clearing up a slate for Peter Parker. Like Peter Parker. Here's the thing: if we are including like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it then sort of brings a bunch of things to the table, because obviously that's like different storylines, different things that have happened to each version of Peter Parker that we've had. But I mean, in terms of Tom Holland's one, it's just, yeah, it could be like almost like cleaning up a slate for him, but at the same time it brings it, because it's a whole, I don't know if it's speculation, I don't know if it's how much facts, how much speculation, but the whole thing of it being like the next phase of the MCU is almost like starting from this Spider-Man that's coming out, or if it's starting from like the end of maybe like WandaVision or something, and it's gonna, obviously no one really knows exact facts, but if it's gonna be obviously like this year is that like next phase as far as I'm aware, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, pretty much. So we've got this year and next year as well, but I think mostly this year will be phase 4 because of a lot of it's on the Disney Plus. And speaking of that, we are going to be talking about WandaVision and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because Kevin Feige and a few other people have also confirmed that those two, along with Spider-Man 3, is like its own trilogy with story. So if you haven't been watching WandaVision recently, episode 7 is the recent one that's just come out on Friday. Go to Disney Plus, check it out. There'll be a link in the bio to basically start your account if you haven't got one already. Feel free to just, watch all those episodes before you come back to this, because we are going to talk about spoilers regarding episode 7. By the time this video is out, episode 8 will also be out as well, because our video release schedule will be midnight Friday when the day turns to Friday. I know that confuses some people. It confuses me a lot as well. So midnight, once we go from Thursday to Friday, so the midnight Friday morning, that's the release date of every video that we do. So 1 video a week. So that's like our rota, if you know what I mean.
Schedule of episodes.
Yeah. And each odd episode will be of him talking about a film. At the moment,
our main like plan in terms of episodic sort of like content is the odd ones, as Ollie likes to refer to as the odd episodes, both
which he is. So that's why they're for him. They're the odd ones. First the worst, second the best. So that's why this video is a Marvel video, and then episodes 4 and 6 and. The one that I dread.
All the odd ones are typically going to be numbers are going to be like mine.
I might let you have that one actually, and we just change it up and be a bit more creative by that point. But as of now, that's how we're doing it anyway, just to make it fair for both of us and our passions of films. Until people don't care or we've got similar interests. So, yeah. So the point is, we're going to be talking about WandaVision as well in this episode, but only for where it's relevant to Spider-Man 3 and obviously Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, because they all do connect. So yeah.
If you haven't seen WandaVision, we will be spoiling it up to episode 7, up to the latest episode. So,
which I know doesn't sound like us, because we said that we were going to try and keep it under wraps, but for some videos we made
the content of context. Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll be really cryptic with what we're saying, and it'll be like, come on, you pair of PUSSYs, come on, just like tell us what we need to know. Like other channels are going to do it as well. Like, don't be generous on my account, because otherwise we're going to be really cryptic about this information, and you're not going to know really much unless you watch the programs, and then you'll find yourself going to other podcasters to like understand what we were trying to say. So no, we are going to have to, like, for some occasions, specifically this one, the only way to make what we're trying to say make sense in a way is to unfortunately spoil the events of those episodes. So
there'll probably be probably be a section where like it'll be spoiler free after this point. So if you're watching the video with any luck, I should have edited in a little like segment where jump to here for like end of the spoilers. So if you don't want to pay to watch WandaVision, or if you haven't watched it yet and you want to wait to watch it, you don't want spoilers, jump to that point. But yeah.
Or if you don't give it just watch the video, like sort of thing. That I'd be surprised if you did. Like, why would you click on a Marvel video if you didn't like Marvel and you didn't care about like being spoiled? But yeah, so we're going to be talking about those. I don't know either. Right. Other title ideas. For me, it was also like Home of the Spider-Verse. I know that sounds a bit like a weird title, but it's just like I'm trying to find a way to make the word home work.
What would it be in your eyes if it didn't include the home? Like, because obviously there could be something.
it would be similar to the animated film that came out in 2018, because there's so much rumor and speculation going around. I think it's almost in ways confirmed, because they've already confirmed the castings of Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx to return as Dr. Octopus and Electro, who both previously appeared separately in the previous incarnations of Spider-Man. So you had Dr. Octopus, Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus specifically in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy and Spider-Man 2, and you had Jamie Foxx appear in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield. And I think both those characters got killed off, so I don't know if they're going to go the J. Jonah Jameson route, where they're going to have J.K. Simmons, like where they had J.K. Simmons come back as J. Jonah Jameson, but it's like he's not playing that same character from that trilogy. Well, we don't know that, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, no one knows.
You know, we honestly don't know that, really. But, you know, it could be the case going forward. There is like a few ways, and this is kind of like, this is like one of the points I really wanted to talk about in this video, and I'll get more into like how this makes sense in a bit. But I feel like with this third one, because Sony really wants like the Tom Holland Spider-Man back, because they just want to like purely create Spider-Man content going forward. I think with this film opportunity is that they do Spider-Verse in Spider-Man 3, and Sam Raimi is going to be directing Doctor Strange into Multiverse of Madness, which connects to both Spider-Man 3 and WandaVision. Doctor Strange is also going to be in Spider-Man 3, and Wanda is also going to be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness as well. So there is like not just the connection of story, but the connection of characters as well. And we've already seen Wanda basically in WandaVision. We've had Evan Peters from the X-Men films come in as Quicksilver, but obviously we have Agatha Harkness from episode 7, who's been revealed to have something to do behind the scenes of that, and we don't know if Evan Peters' Quicksilver is actually Quicksilver or if he's playing a different character, but we know there's a connection there. And you know, that could be the first stint of like bringing in multi characters from the multiverse and other franchises, and that's could be the relation to how like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield get involved in this film, perhaps. But if it is a Spider-Verse film, I think like what they're going to do is they'll have that, and then it'll be Tom Holland's way out, but it'll also be Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's way back in, because they'll have Peter Parker return as Spider-Man in the MCU Spider-Man 4, and that'll either be the last film he's in or not. I don't know. I think he might appear in another MCU project that's not related to his films. I think they did say as well. So I think whilst that's all escalating over the next couple of years, they can then Sony can work to do the Spider-Verse 2 that they plan to do, the animated one with Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man 2099 that they teased. They can also, because Sam Raimi's back doing Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they can use that as their bridge to then go back to the Sam Raimi universe to do Spider-Man 4, which everyone's been wanting for years. However way, shape or form they can legally do that, if the actors are willing to come back and they're able to make a good story. Because he's had like, what, 10, 11, 14 years to figure out. He's had over 14 years to figure out what Spider-Man 4 could be in a good way. Yeah. And now he's back doing, Sam Raimi's back doing Spider-Man films. Marvel films. Like, you know, and there's a connection with Spider-Man here for this. Yeah. Even though he might not, I don't think he's in.
Well, I mean, from what I've seen, it's just because it's been in like multiple stages of development as far as they've like published to the world. Because obviously it's been in like if you actually look at the Wikipedia of say the latest Spider-Man coming out this year, it's like it's been in development since 2017. But obviously, it's been in development for like 10 plus years, like you say. So it's dependent on like however early on they started thinking about like what are they going to do, and like because I haven't properly followed the development process of Spider-Man. Obviously, like I joined like sort of watching Spider-Man again in Tom Holland one. I sort of missed the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy with Andrew Garfield, and obviously I was a massive fan of the original Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire, but like I wonder when they, like you said, when they started like the early development process of, they were obviously still working on like even probably the Amazing Spider-Man when they were considering what like a Tom Holland, they obviously probably didn't think of Tom Holland at the time because he was like 7 or 8 maybe, but
they didn't cast him until I think it was 2014, 2015, they didn't cast. It wasn't until they were able to cast him, and it was really kept under wraps. Like they didn't want anyone to know that this was happening, because obviously they'd done Amazing Spider-Man 2. That was very controversial at the box office. They were going to announce Amazing Spider-Man 3, but then I think Andrew Garfield got jet lag, and there was some like complication between him and the studio, and they just scrapped the project in the end for some reason. Like, I want to say it's because they had a falling out and he got sacked, but I don't know if that's true completely. I don't want to believe if it is, because it makes what happens with this, if it's true to be a Spider-Verse film for Spider-Man 3, it makes it a bit awkward and a bit like, how is this happening then, sort of thing. But then you're probably going to think that anyway. But I feel like with opening this opportunity, it does mean that Sony can make Spider-Man 4 for Tobey Maguire and Amazing Spider-Man 3 for Andrew Garfield, respectively and separately, whilst the MCU still basically has Tom Holland's Spider-Man to do the other movie with, and Spider-Man 4 as well. And
they ultimately want to please every world of Spider-Man as much as they can, I think, is the ultimate goal. Without trying to just like make it this massive, they don't want to like completely put everything together and make it just like absolutely nuts, but they obviously just do want to respect every world that there has been so far, and every sort of I was trying to think of the word, every version of like Peter Parker, like I said a minute ago, and then just try and make it the best, sort of. Because I've been speculating the entire time I've been thinking about this, but is every version of Spider-Man in this new film?
We don't know. It's speculation. Like the actors have had interviews. Tom Holland's had interviews. Zendaya's had interviews. I think they definitely have confirmed the appearances of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And so Benedict Cumberbatch, Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, and Max Dillon's. Jamie Foxx's Electro. Max Dillon is obviously the name of the character. I always get like confused. I always think like Max Dillon's the actual name of like the actor who played it. No, that's the character name.
Like Fox.
Yeah. It's just Jamie Foxx. He isn't my favorite villain, but I'm glad that they're bringing in some interesting characters and some characters that we have had before. So we're getting to see like a new sort of incarnation of them. Yeah. Like, well, not with Alfred Molina, but like I don't feel like the Amazing Spider-Man 2's Electro was the best. So if they could reinvent his character like more correctly to his comic book counterpart, like the best way they can, in a way that's compelling and interesting for the audience, then I'm game for that. And I hope they do it in a way that's decent. But regarding its connection to WandaVision as well, I think the story will pick up with Spider-Man. Obviously, he's on the run. Like the police are after him. Like half of New York hates him, half of New York loves him. He's like kind of stranded and not really sure where to go. I think there's definitely going to be some sort of love compilation, because like he and MJ are going to like break up or something because it's too dangerous or too painful to keep seeing each other when they can't really, or something like that. It's going to happen. It's Spider-Man. He's always filled with like misery and love problems. Like, something like that's going to happen. I think there was a scene that leaked by the Daily Mail. I think it was back in December, January time. And it was of Peter Parker like finding MJ like doing a job at some local like retail shop like in New York. And it was definitely like coming up to winter time, because there was like snow there, unless that was just what the set looked like, and they're going to change that, but I highly doubt it. And she looks like sort of half worried, like half concerned, sort of like look of like frustration on her face, and then he's just like trying to search for her, and they have some sort of conversation, and then he leaves. So I don't know if that's like the scene where they break up. That's like basically the breakup, almost like a mirage to the breakup scene from Spider-Man 3, as in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, possibly.
Like in the sense that, they break up, but do they get back together again? Like, I don't know. Do they? We'll find out.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see like how they take maybe even not like reshoot, but take maybe old scenes that they like notice fans love from the original films, and then put them into like just basically just reimagining.
As long as they don't do the dance from Spider-Man 3. Oh, no. Please don't.
Pizza time. Gotta reinvent.
Pizza time. They even said in the animated Spider-Verse film that we don't really talk about this because they don't like it. The studio acknowledges that they don't like the film, so they're gonna. So clearly, like they're going to try and find a way to make it work in the best way possible. Like,
Yeah.
As they've been really good with this. Like, I don't think there's been no issue like with overcramming villains or any issue like that. The MCU Spider-Man stories have had a good structure to them, so I'm expecting 3 to be the same. At the moment, if they do go the Spider-Verse route, it does sound a bit overcrowded, but I think knowing them, they're going to find a way to make it work and feel like not so, oh, there's too much going on at once.
Yeah, well, from an outsider's perspective of like not as big a not an outsider's perspective, but not as big of a Marvel fan as you. Basically, it's Spider-Man has probably been my, other than maybe Doctor Strange and Iron Man, probably been my favorite like part of the MCU, because like you said, it's not like, unless they struggle to like not make this one like just compact a bunch of people and a bunch of characters and a bunch of stories basically into one, it should work quite well. And I mean, considering they've done quite a few films where it could have been easy to make like Infinity War a lot worse than it was. And I mean, that's like out of Infinity War and Endgame, personally, that's like my favorite out of the two.
I wouldn't say Infinity War was bad at all. Like, I understand
yeah.
There was a bit of character cramming in there, but like they did it in a way that worked.
It worked, yeah, exactly.
It's also like it's technically the first part of a 2-parter anyway, so you get Endgame, which continues it anyway, and that's a 3-hour film. So like, they find a way to make it work, and it's not like overcrammed because certain storylines kind of made that not possible.
But it'll be interesting to see how they take it. I mean, like we said, it's all speculation, no facts other than cast. Cast is pretty much set in stone now, isn't it? I'm highly unlikely to change anything, but unless like one actor suddenly pulls out. But it's all. I mean, that's the thing with like MCU, is every film is planned typically so far ahead. I mean, like, when did we get there was that big leak that then became, like Marvel released it. It was the whole like next 10 films over the next like few years, because it had like it showed the logo of like the Winter Soldier series, Loki series.
You mean the
D23
of 2019 was basically not long after Endgame come out, and it was like in the mix of before, or just like roughly around the same time Spider-Man Far From Home had come out, and it was basically telling you what Phase 4 was going to be. So it announced obviously Black Widow, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, basically everything that's now been like reshuffled thanks to the pandemic.
Thankfully, some trailers as well. Like it's weird because from a sort of non like obsessive fan's perspective, it's kind of interesting to come across like these, almost, to me, that they are almost standalone MCU like projects. I mean, I know they're not, obviously, that everything's part of a canon, everything's part of a story and carrying on and can continue like the next phase. But I mean, I'm looking forward to the new like Winter Soldier, the new Winter Soldier series, isn't it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm just roughly what the name of it. Even I don't know the full name, and I'm looking forward to it. But it's just, that's mainly because of like the spectacle of it is like, to me, it looks really good. And like this Spider-Man, I'm genuinely excited for. But it's just these individual. I mean, like, I love the Iron Man trilogy, to be honest. I mean, probably. I'm trying to decide. I can't decide a favourite off the top of my head, actually.
I do feel like, because the way Far From Home ended was like kind of almost a homage to the way the first Iron Man film ended, where his identity went public, basically. Like, and obviously the story is like basically him almost becoming the next Iron Man, because it's like him learning his lesson regarding like, he's not going to be Iron Man, but he's going to be his own superhero. He's going to be his own type of person. And then Happy Hogan plays the song from the opening of for the opening of Iron Man 1, and Peter Parker's like, I love Led Zeppelin, but it's not even like, it's not even that song or singer. Yeah. So, like, fucking hell.
No, I love Led Zeppelin.
No, I love Led Zeppelin. Oh, God. See, a line like that makes or breaks a film. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I mean. I had that whole making almost. I mean, I even said that to you as almost like a joke, at that having like Tom Holland almost in real life is looking more like a young Robert. I was saying Robert Downey Jr. Wasn't that?
Making like Robert Downey Jr. Senior, like, you know, the current Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, it was just,
Robert Downey Jr. Senior,
I mean,
Senior.
he's taken on that as like that aesthetic almost in the films, and I know like obviously he's almost like he
already JJ.
he was taken on as this like he took like Peter Parker on as his apprentice, and it's weird. It's almost like a life versus the actual characters in the film. Like there's like the real life relationship going on at the same time, because it's, I mean, they, like, you know, Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. met, and they've almost formed like this like relationship similar to like they have done in the films. Obviously differences because one's fiction, but it's but yeah, it's like to me it was almost like the Peter Parker now is, like you said, is almost like taking inspirations from like what Robert Downey Jr. was in Iron Man.
Well, he's becoming his like own superhero, like obviously because well, Spider-Man is his own superhero. Like despite obviously having the Iron Spider suit, he is he's not Iron Man. He is his own superhero, and like I think we're going to get to see more of that in this new film. Like I do think like he's still going to have his naive structure, because going back to the connection with like WandaVision and Doctor Strange, like I think I said this already, but like it's like WandaVision series, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and Spider-Man 3 is like a trilogy of its own regarding the stories and connections. Obviously, like I said, Evan Peters has been pulled from the X-Men franchise, or at least, well, we think so far by Agatha Harkness has done that. We don't know for sure, like, if that's what's happened, or she's like duplicated another character to make him look like that based off inspiration from how he looks. But I feel like she's a pawn of like Mephisto, because Mephisto in the comics was the one who basically manifested or conjured like Wanda's children, which is the reason they're alive. Because she and the symphozoid Vision could not have possibly, like, you know, they could. Those children don't, like, you know, one minute she's like fine, and then next minute she's like got, you know, a pregnant belly. You know, that
whole episode.
That doesn't just happen. But obviously she's like, you got to remember, she is like a sorceress as well, like in a way. So, but according to the books, basically Mephisto is like the devil. He's basically like this red demon, like devil character. He's also a Spider-Man villain as well, and I'll get to that in a moment. But he's also like, he's the guy who basically conjured like Wanda's children. Like he manifested them, and he's going to want them back because they possess something that he needs or whatever. It's like Voldemort and Harry Potter. Another video we'll get.
Another episode, not a bunch of episodes.
Yeah. Episode 3 will be your episode again, Patrick. So, you know, audiences.
And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will be Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, not the 8th one. The 8th one will be something different. Like, yeah. But yeah, Mephisto is also a Spider-Man villain, and I think like one of the ways they could take the story, and this is how it could open up the Spider-Verse aspect of it, if it is true. Because obviously Tom Holland and Zendaya have like rumored a lot of stuff, like, or have been spoken to about it, and they've like denied rumors. So like, you know, Tom Holland's on the peak of his career if he can keep this biggest thing secret. Like he did say that like it's like one of the days of shooting was like the defining moments of his career. Like, you know, he's really proud and he's really impressed with it. So maybe it is that. Like everyone believes that's what he's talking about. Maybe it's just something even better than we haven't thought about yet, but we don't know. But
no one really knows.
What I feel like could happen is that, because Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man 3 as well.
Yeah.
He's going to Spider-Man's going to somehow find out about Mephisto, and we're going to meet Mephisto, I think, in WandaVision, I believe, because the way it works is that we'll have WandaVision, then we'll have Spider-Man 3, then we'll have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Unless we meet Mephisto in Loki, because I know there was a reference to him in the Loki trailer on like the church glass window during one of the trailer shots, or at least one of those sort of related characters, I think. You know, comment down below if I'm wrong, but I think there was a reference to something that's going to appear in one of those shows or films. One of the characters anyway. Spider-Man will meet with Mephisto, and Mephisto's like, and this is like a comparison that'll have like some people like probably hating my guts, but he's like the Rumpelstiltskin of Marvel Universe. Like he is the devil. He makes deals with people like to help them benefit their lives, and I think Peter Parker will go to him like wanting to make a deal to basically get his life back on track, make everyone forget he's Spider-Man or something like that. And Mephisto will like give in a way, but he'll end up just like making things worse. And then Mephisto will like want to try and find a way to use Peter Parker to basically wipe out every Peter Parker and Spider-Man, like for the purpose of chaos or whatever he wishes. And it'll end up bringing in Dr. Octopus, Electro, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans, and there'll be like all out like battle between like the three Spider-Mans and the three villains, and it'll end
crazy. That'd be quite
it'll end with Doctor Strange, who's meant to be in the film as well, like coming in, and they'll have a fight between him and Mephisto, and for him that will lead into his sequel film. But for Spider-Man, like that will lead into his next appearance in the MCU, which also could be that film, but it could be something different, and either followed or not followed by the already confirmed by Kevin Feige Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man 4, which I believe will be the last one in that series as well, which I think personally will be a Sinister Six film, because we still need to deal with the whole Scorpion and Vulture and Shocker, and whether or not Mysterio is alive or not, which I think should, if not already, be confirmed for the third film. Like I think his survival is like humanly defining, like Peter Parker's innocence.
They just need to find out what happens, don't they, basically, and actually conclude it.
Unless like they have a really awkward like plot twist where, because they've been doing something with like Flash Thompson, like he's a really like minor side character, like for some reason he says like, could mother not make it, like there's something about that has got to be important going forward, because they wouldn't just waste a scene, like unless it's like for comic relief only. Like they had a whole scene where he was like, it's not a funny joke that your mum doesn't turn up to pick you up from the airport after you've been in almost like a world-ending situation abroad. Like that doesn't happen. Like there's got to be something behind that, other than it being played off for laughs. There's got to be something behind that. Like I feel like it's going to be something like we're going to find out Peter Parker's innocent through some non-seen video evidence from Flash Thompson's Instagram. It's just going to show him like fighting the drones, and be like, well, if he's killing people, why is he fighting the drones? Like, why did that happen? Like, and perhaps that's like the reason why half of New York loves him, half of New York hates him. He'll have there'll be a scene where he's in a court as well, and I know there's been like there's a new casting for a detective character as well, and that could be the person who figures all that out. We don't know who that is yet. It needs to be a big MCU character, I think, or at least someone big for the Spider-Man films anyway, that could go forward in that, depending on how they want to go about it. But they could go two routes with who the lawyer of Peter Parker is going to be. So number one, and this is what everyone wants, and this is the first thing everyone thinks of, is Charlie Cox. So the Netflix deal is over, like pretty much with Marvel. Like they're not going to be producing any more shows, any more seasons of shows or anything like that. Like, and they've got the rights back. It's been 2 years. It's been more than 2 years now. Marvel has the rights back to those characters, so they can do whatever they want with them. Obviously, if they've been planning stuff that they couldn't do until after they got the rights back, they're technically that's not allowed. But if they develop an idea and then prove with evidence when they came up with the idea, which obviously they have to do because all paperwork, copyright, and licensing and stuff, they get the character in for a quick cameo scene. Like he doesn't suit up as Daredevil, but we don't mind. Like they could do a Daredevil film that continues from the Netflix shows in canon ways, or just creates its new canon if they decide to just have the actor play the same character, but just like, the whole make Netflix MCU separate.
Yeah.
Or it is canon, but it's just not referenced sort of thing, because, people can then just watch this and...
Although now they've got their own, and now they have their own streaming service though, because of Disney Plus. It sort of gives them the, like before it was Disney Plus, at least they had another place that they like wanted to get a deal with, whereas now they are their own person basically. So now they actually have that.
I know Disney Plus has just added this star icon, which is like a sort of, it's almost like an app. It's almost like an app within an app. Basically, it's like, adult rated Disney Plus. So it's going to have things like Deadpool on it. It's going to have like, all these like sexual innuendo dramas.
Well, they've just added a whole bunch of like...
Basically anything for a more matured audience. Like, obviously you'd say like, well, yeah, but X-Men and Marvel's all matured. Like, yes, it is. But it means it's like, a kid's not going to go from watching Finding Dory to Deadpool 2. Because it's not...
Like Deadpool and X-Men are two like very different type of films in terms
it's set
of
in the same universe, but
yeah,
the violence and the the attitude and the language and references is all just like it's meant for an older audience. So that's why it's on Star, because that's what it's for, basically. Because they do have like a parental lock, like this can only be watched by a viewer who's of this age, and you have to prove yourself and all that sort of stuff. Good job I share an account, isn't it? With older...
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so But I think they'll add Daredevil, like the Netflix Daredevil and all that sort of stuff. They'll add all those shows on there as well. So hopefully, like, you know, the Netflix team will be all right with that.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Not that they really have much control. I mean, obviously, if they own the rights to it and then they sold it back to them, or they like Disney bought it, yeah, they sold it back to them. Like it's not in Netflix's control.
Well, they had to wait. They had to wait 2 years until after the last season deal was premiered.
Yeah.
Until they get the rights back. So from that day, so I think the last one was Jessica Jones season 3. So once 2 years has passed from that day that last season premiered, they have rights to Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, and Punisher. All basically back, as well as all the characters within those, as well as Elektra and Night Nurse, basically Claire Temple from the comics, if anyone didn't know that, and just all those other superheroes like Hellcat.
A whole bunch of content. That is.
Yeah, all of those characters, some of which could make appearances in Spider-Man 3, because there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, anyway, Charlie Cox being the lawyer for Peter Parker could be a good scene that we could get. I think that was, in a way, confirmed, but at the same time, I'm not going to trust Wikipedia as the complete source for this information, but they aren't always wrong, and they don't always come up with the wrong information. It's not the best place for references, but it's one of the good places for, like, you know, official castings and things.
Yeah,
it's not a wiki. It's not a wikia where anyone could just do it. Like, I think Wikipedia has to be done by specific people, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, it's a good, like, that and IMDb. Obviously IMDb is the main place. For,
IMDb
like, TV and
could
film.
also be like,
Wikipedia and IMDb are like the two best places for, like, trusted information. Basically, that's the latest, at least. Well, sometimes latest. Sometimes a date of birth is wrong on like 1 out of 100,000 people, but typically,
or a release date.
Yeah,
like they get release dates wrong.
Yeah,
or something like
that.
Like
a lot of that is speculation normally. Like, especially the last 2 years. Well, almost annoying. I can't. It sounds crazy to say. Almost the last 18 months to 2 years because of, well, I'm just under 18 months now because of COVID and everything. Especially like UK timeline of how long we've had like cases of COVID and unfortunately death rates and stuff in this country, but the whole world especially. Just like the whole. How long things are going to take, but like there's always been speculative like release dates and stuff. But yeah, you just have to hope it is the actual date they give you that is the right one. Otherwise, I mean, things like, I've one of the worst films in terms of changing release dates. Obviously, it's like because of COVID, is the latest Bond. It's had like 4 or 5 changes of release now. And I'm sure there's probably... Has there any been Marvel? I'm pretty sure Marvel have just stayed private about a release date and then just waited to, instead of just like going release date, no, new release date. Because as far as I'm aware, they've all been like... Well, it's all been Disney Plus, really, hasn't it? Like...
Pretty much, yeah.
Black Widow's coming out on Disney Plus.
I don't know about that one for sure.
Well,
because they really don't want it to. They want it to be like a theatrical release if possible. Like, it's the same with a lot of them. Like, annoyingly, a lot of companies still think that they could probably release their films when they have them scheduled to be this year, but nothing's changed. We're still in the pandemic situation. Like, the vaccine's not going to be the world's not going to receive, not everyone in the world is going to receive the vaccine until at least like the 31st of December. You know, like by then, like vast majority of the world population.
Luckily, we're quite ahead. But I mean, in terms of the actual whole world, yeah. Like,
but because of that, things aren't going to go back to normal very quickly. Like, they haven't even confirmed the reopening of like schools and cinemas yet. So like, we don't know. But if cinemas aren't open, those films aren't just going to come out. You know, because there's no point in releasing a film in a cinema that no one's going to go to because it's not open or it can't be viewed, or they don't want to. So I don't know how they're going to approach that, but I know like films like Fast and Furious 9 is the company wants that to go in the cinema because it's like their top franchise for finance.
Exactly.
Because it's got so many installments out of it.
We just have to hope that in the next it obviously depends on how the easing back to some sense of normality, especially in like the UK, but everywhere in the world, is like enough for theatres to slowly open up again and like entertainment venues to actually get back to. I love how this has just become like Marvel.
Yeah,
talk
I'm thinking we're going off topic
of
COVID
talk, but like,
yeah, I know.
Everything
I feel like we go off topic
falls back to when COVID basically buggers off, basically. But
Well,
That's the
hopefully, because Spider-Man 3 is not going to come out until like December 17th. Hopefully by then, like, a cinema will at least be open for it to be viewed.
Yeah.
It might not do very well box office wise, but not because it's a bad film, just because, yeah, we're still in this situation.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if we weren't in the situation, the film would have done like even better than probably the last one did.
The only thing that the only thing that actually gives me hope, as opposed to, like, I mean, in the UK, this is our third lockdown, and the government the government don't just hope, the government and everywhere in the world basically doesn't want any more restrictions. I don't know about like the US; they're like the second biggest in terms of, like, I don't know what's going on really. I don't know if they've had lockdowns or not, but I think they have probably. But it's like, this is the first instance this year now we have finally got vaccines, and vaccine rollout has happened. I don't want to go too in depth of COVID because we're talking about fucking MCU.
Anyway, I think we need to go back to Spider-Man 3 because we're going off topic. So yeah, it would be great if, because we don't know for sure, because a lot of it is speculation. Like, you know, is the film going to be called Spider-Man Home Free, Home Worlds, Home of the Spider-Verse? Like, if it didn't have the word home in it, it could be called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, or Spider-Verse, or Spider-Man Enters the Spider-Verse, or Spider-Geddon, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. I know that Tom Holland's brother's going to be in the film, whether that's a big or small appearance at all. But I think that was the same day Tom Holland put that. It's like a day that happened that basically pretty much like defined his, like, was the defining moment of his career. Like, you know, the best moment of his career. Like, he came out saying that. And yeah, he had his brother with him. So I hope his brother gets to play like an alternative version of Spider-Man. Like, maybe like doing maybe he's doing like a voiceover of like an animated Peter Parker for like the film. But I don't know if that would take the seriousness away.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, we've never seen it, so it'll be interesting to see how it comes across.
Logically, it would be good for us to get maybe a Kraven the Hunter in the film as well, because Sony have been wanting and planning a Kraven film for a while now, and like, you know, with the whole law going up against Spider-Man, it's like the perfect time to do like Kraven's Last Hunt. So if that was incorporated in the film as well about overcrowding stuff, that would be brilliant. Obviously, there's the whole stuff with Mephisto, that references WandaVision, where he could appear in it, and Spider-Man makes the deal. That might make Doctor Strange's appearance relevant, or just the Spider-Verse in general. And obviously, Peter Parker and all three Peter Parkers, and maybe a fourth one as well, because I know they confirmed. Well, they haven't confirmed this, but they did say that the actor who played Peter Parker in the Marvel Spider-Man game that came out in 2018, and obviously the Miles Morales spin-off sequel that came out last year. I think it's the same actor that played Spider-Man in both games. An actor that resembles the actor is going to be made with makeup to resemble his game counterpart, and which is also a bit close to Tom Holland, to be fair. And he's going to appear in the movie as well, or he might do anyway. So technically, you could have 4 Spider-Man. 5 if Tom Holland's brother is going to be in as well. 5 Spider-Man going up against, with Doctor Strange, going up against Mephisto, Dr. Octopus, Electro, and even Kraven the Hunter. That would be an insane film with a cameo of either Charlie Cox or Jennifer Waters, She-Hulk, as Peter Parker's other choice of lawyer, because I know she's getting a Disney Plus show as well. I don't think that comes out until either later this year or probably more likely next year. I think it comes out. Early to mid next year, She-Hulk will be out on Disney Plus with Jennifer Waters. I know she's been cast as well. I can't remember who's playing it now, actually. I know it's been confirmed, though. So she could appear in the film, perhaps, as well.
There's so much, like...
Maybe he gets both. Maybe we get spoilt with characters. Like, it's not an overload. It's just like a little cameo nod. Like, this character's coming in She-Hulk series, but we're going to debut her here because she's relevant. We need a lawyer for Peter Parker. You know, because in the comics, she was a lawyer as well, so...
There's so much they could do with it. Yeah, and there's some like character introductions, like bringbacks.
But yeah, with the film, like because Sam Raimi's directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think I've already said this, so I'm just going to quickly sum up and say it again. Like, yeah, if they were to then go on and Sam Raimi makes Spider-Man 4 for Tobey Maguire, Sony has that film, and perhaps Mark Webb, if he comes back to do Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield, probably the least likely out of the 2 options to go forward. Is just a callback to Andrew Garfield, perhaps this film. But like, if they were to go and complete Amazing Spider-Man 3 and deal with all of that malarkey, like, they've got that film in the bag as well, and they perhaps make those films canon to one of those films canon to like the Venom and Morbius films, like, you know, so instead of Tom Holland's Spider-Man appearing in them. But I think they do want Tom Holland's Spider-Man in Venom 2, which is why I think Let There Be Carnage is coming out next year.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I know Tom Holland, like, it's been said that he might be in it. If he is, that it could make sense. But obviously, I feel like we've got to see Spider-Man 3 to make that make sense first. Because then Tom Holland could then jump between universes. And that's probably how, like, you know, the end of Spider-Man 4 sees him jump to a new universe for a fresh start, perhaps. I don't know. But basically, he's not in the MCU timeline of canon anymore. So, you know, it's not that people don't remember him. It's that people don't talk about him because he's not relevant to their stories. But he has one more MCU appearance, as well as Spider-Man 3 and 4. So whilst all that's happening, and perhaps his appearance in Venom 2 as well, like, Sony has complete rights and control, with obviously Sam Raimi taking the helm of distributing and producing Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3. I don't know, and obviously the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2 with Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man 2099. I don't know all the legalities regarding all of that, and like if they could get away with doing that, but with Spider-Man 3 being potentially a Spider-Verse film, that could be how they get away with it. And I think like it would have to be that, because it would be a great finale for them to finally do that Sinister Six film that they've been talking about for ages, because they produced the Venom one that they just spoke of, and obviously got Morbius as well. If they were to then have Spider-Man 4 be the Sinister Six film, and you get Scorpion back from the ending of Spider-Man 1, and he is relearning of Peter Parker's identity after the end of Far From Home, because he wasn't in Far From Home, but at the end of the first one, Homecoming, he wanted to know Peter Parker's identity. He knew that Vulture knew, but Vulture wouldn't disclose. Then in the second film, he would have probably somehow found out based off people talking about it at the Raft, because it's on world news. Third film, perhaps like something happens at the end and Doctor Strange helps Peter Parker basically wipe everyone's memories. And then in the fourth one, he learns it again and creates the team. And then Scorpion with perhaps Vulture, Shocker, maybe Mysterio if he's alive. We'll find out if he is or not at the end of the third film, but I doubt he'd kill him off again. And maybe Venom and Morbius as well, who knows? Or some other villains, maybe Kraven, maybe some new villains, in fact, maybe Dr. Electro. So just one of each of those villains from those categories. Basically, they all team up, become the Sinister Six, and they fight against Peter Parker, and then Peter Parker defeats them all, or he dies, or he goes back to a new reality, and that's the end of the series. And you know, that would be satisfying to me, because that would be like the big ultimate ending. Unless they do it the other way around, where Spider-Man 3 is a Sinister Six film, where Spider-Man's being chased by, like, you know, the authorities, bounty hunters, and he's got like 6 supervillains up against him, Mysterio being one of them, perhaps. And then they do the Spider-Verse film as the fourth movie. And then once that's done, Tom Holland's appearing in, like, say, Venom 2 and everything else, or Venom 3, even if they go that far, because Venom 2 wouldn't have been out when he's available to do it or whatever. And they do it that way. But I don't think that makes Spider-Man 3 as relevant to WandaVision and Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, because they've said multiverse and for Doctor Strange too, and it's always about, like, you know, branch realities and multiverses and all that sort of stuff, and time travel. And they explored a lot of that in Avengers Endgame. And then you got WandaVision, which is bringing in like characters like Evan Peters, Quicksilver, from another reality, whether that is him or not, or if she took inspiration from him or if Agatha Harkness took inspiration from that incarnation of the character to create him. Also, I would like to mention, this is probably known by a lot of fans, that the actress who's playing Agatha Harkness in WandaVision was also Olivia Octavius in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the animated version. So I don't know if that's like a hint. Like, it's probably not relevant, it's just coincidence. But I don't know if that's like a hint to like her wanting something from another reality, like the same way Kingpin did in that film, and like using Wanda as kind of a distraction. So basically manipulating Wanda to do her dirty work for her while she's trying to find a way to sort of make a reality her own that's happy, with no one knowing who she is or her name or her abilities or the fact that she's behind any of it. Quite an interesting theory. 2 more episodes of the show, and then a behind the scenes like featurette episode called Assembled, which is going to basically bridge all the gaps between the Disney Plus shows. So that's will be how we find out. So what do you think about that then, Patrick?
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it is a lot.
I mean, there's so much that can happen, isn't there? There's so much that could be done with things. But ultimately, the whole, like, I mean,
because you've seen the films, haven't you? So like,
yeah,
as well as the other like proper MCU canon ones. So like you've got Captain America.
I am caught up somehow.
Have you watched Venom yet?
Venom, yeah.
I know like Morbius and Venom Let There Be Carnage isn't out yet, but they've obviously got the murderer reference for Spider-Man in the Morbius trailer, and there's rumors that Tom Holland's Spider-Man's going to be in Venom 2. Whether he is or not, I don't know. Like personally, it depends on how they go about it, really. But it could. If Spider-Man 3 is a Spider-Verse film, I wouldn't put it past them to put him in. Helps make it relevant.
But yeah, there's so much that could happen with. I'm just, it's one of those films where like I feel personally for me, it could be like as an outsider, it could be a terrible film or it could be a pretty good film because, like, I mean, obviously for you it might be amazing or it might be okay. Obviously we hope it's amazing because we hope that they're bringing back these characters and they're just bringing like, well, for instance, if they are gonna have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as well, which I don't keep up enough.
And the actor, and not only Tom Holland's brother, but also who could be a Spider-Man alternate version just from a reality that doesn't exist yet, and perhaps they have him as like casted as a future Spider-Man if they want to go that route, like the whole James Bond stuff. And then the actor who played him in the video games as well just turns up in like a live action sort of, you know, film incarnation of the video game suit, and they're all just like fucking fighting. It's just brilliant. They've got to have that classic scene. If they do a Spider-Verse film, though, they've got to have a classic scene from the animated show where they're all pointing at each other, like, you know, I'm Spider-Man, you're Spider-Man. No, like I'm Spider-Man. No, you're Spider-Man. Like, you know, I'm Spider-Man. You know, they got to have that. That's got to be there.
It's going to be like nothing else because nothing.
In front of a garage by a truck, they've just got to be stood there, just like, no, I'm Spider-Man, you're Spider-Man. It's got to be a trailer scene as well. Like, oh, I can't wait for that.
You hope so bad it's going to be like that.
Yeah, I do. Like, I'm really pumped for this film. Like, I can't wait to see what they spill out. I'm definitely going to be buying if they do produce it, because I don't really know if they make these that anymore. I bought the Endgame one and I got the Civil War one as well. The art of the film, you know, those big catalogs with basically all the concept art. I'm definitely going to be buying it for at least some of the Spider-Man films anyway. Like, they need to release one of those for what Spider-Man 4 could have been if they're not going to make it. But
I do one for Spider-Man, for
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, they probably should have done one by now. But if they haven't, like, you know, this could be a chance to do it. You got Sam Raimi.
Just put it all into one.
They do, oh god, so good.
You just have this massive like book you just have, but it's just everything Spider-Man.
Everything Spider-Man, everything live action Spider-Man.
Wow. God, that would be nuts.
Got anything to add to that then, Patrick? So I can't
think I'm mind blown.
I think we covered like a vast majority of it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's been just under an hour, so yeah.
So yeah, for our next video, it's going to be a Patrick-based video again. So we're going to be talking because he's odd, so therefore he gets the odd episodes. Also, for those who are wondering what the number issue was earlier, basically, if you don't know, I have a huge resentment to the number 8. I honestly do not know why. It is not my favorite number at all. Just don't ask, please. So that'll be a video for him as well, and you'll probably be thinking, well, yeah, well, I want you back. Well, you can get me for the 9th video. We can then.
He doesn't want his hatred number.
No.
But yeah.
So yeah, in a way, I should have gone first, but I thought get the first, the worst, second, the best. Thought I'd do it like that. So you know. Get the shit film Tenet out of the way, and then we can start talking about some decent content. But yeah, what do you want episode 3 to be about then, Patrick? Because we kind of disclosed in episode 1 what episode 2 was going to be about. So what do you want?
Episode 3 will most likely be about the Batman, the new Matt Reeves film coming out.
Sounds like
again, it's
passionate about.
Well, it's weird because
more you than me, because you probably like it for more reasons I don't.
Yeah, there's speculation, obviously. Well, I want to talk a little about they were trying to make. They literally just ended up making footage for the trailer.
Patrick, save
I'm
some.
I'm not going into detail.
Save some for the video. This video is a Spider-Man video. They didn't click on it for nothing.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, right.
We'll
so I think that's all we got
time.
Now, clearly, based off what we were saying, that's all we got time for now. So. We will see you guys next Friday midnight if you're awake for episode 3, which will be clearly a Batman video. So, as of this moment, I'm Oliver. This is Patrick, and we are Fortune Theory. Thank you, guys.
See you guys. So, 3 titles.
God.
We could have chosen any other type of film that's going to be releasing in the next like 6 months to a year.
And this week we chose to talk about the one title, the one film that's got a title that we don't even know was going to like be announced this week as well, because they kept it so under wraps.
So we've got,
and 2 promotional pictures as well, released by Jacob Batalon.
yeah. So we've got, Tom Holland's one, Jacob Batalon's one, Zendaya's one, all different names. We obviously, I mean, we've recorded one of these yesterday night, when there were just 2, because Zendaya hadn't actually released her 3rd title, Troll, and we just knew.
Or at least it wasn't. At least it wasn't talked about anyway. It wasn't talked about
because I sent you I was like, F off. All fucking look at this. What is this? What's Tom Holland just released? And then
it's made this
like,
video a massive complication.
I mean, yeah, because we recorded this Monday, and then why would news come out? Maybe. And then, of course, Tuesday night, the main 3 cast decided to troll the world.
Oh, God.
But yeah, so we've got 3 titles now that could be one of them. 2 of them sound a bit less likely than the other one. I mean, Home Slice isn't as likely, but who the hell knows? Who knows? Probably none of them.
But the fact that they called the first one Homecoming and the second one Far From Home, like, it wouldn't completely surprise me if it was something as, like, what sounds as stupid as Home Slice. That just gives me... I mean, to be fair, like, in a Spider-Verse sense, you know, like, the whole the Tobey Maguire meme of it's pizza time.
Yeah.
You know, like, that, it makes sense for that. But...
I don't know.
And that 3 titles... Home Wrecker, I don't know, maybe an Andrew Garfield reference, because...
Phone Home and Home Wrecker are the most plausible ones. I mean, like you said, it could even be Home Slice. Was it Home? It is Home Slice, isn't it? The Zendaya's leaked one.
Zendaya's one's Home Slice. Jacob Batalon's one is Home Wrecker. And Tom Holland's one is Phone Home, which is a massive pop culture reference to E.T. the Extraterrestrial. E.T. Phone Home. That one, out of all those 3, not only because Tom Holland announced it, but if it was the title, it would make the most sense to be, because it's a pop culture reference, which is what his character's been known to do throughout all of his appearances. And
this
also,
is when we're just completely wrong, but
probably a trademark. But obviously, in the video you've just seen beforehand, we've talked about like our other theories of what the title was before knowing, obviously, of this new hoax announcement. So,
but yes,
you can tell we just keep changing outfits all the time because we're doing this over a course of different days.
So yeah, we've it's been a crazy week in terms of Spider-Man. At least it has been up to Wednesday for us.
Well, he was on the Tonight Show. You said it was last night, didn't you?
With
He was on Jimmy Fallon.
Fallon on Tuesday night.
Jimmy Fallon's or Jimmy? I keep getting him and Jimmy Kimmel mixed up.
Yeah, it was Jimmy
That's really
Fallon.
bad.
And he was just talking about rumors to do with casting, and it was just, obviously he didn't say much. Surprisingly, you could tell Tom Holland was
I wonder if he did that then. I wonder if they did that day on purpose because of the fact that he was going on the show, like hype people up for a potential trailer leak and the official real title.
Possibly timing wise, yeah. I mean, it was almost published.
I mean, it didn't happen. It either hasn't happened yet or it didn't happen. I don't know. I can't. I watched another video earlier where they said he'd be on the Tonight Show, but I don't know if that was released today before, obviously tonight, or last night. So
yeah, it was last night's one, like America time, and it's like early hours of the morning in the UK.
Obviously, yeah, it's a different hours and stuff.
But yeah, it was because when the Jimmy Fallon's video with Tom Holland in it released on YouTube, it was almost in reaction to the Instagram leaks, in terms of just upload time, and I mean in terms of physical, when they recorded the Jimmy Fallon thing and when they actually Tom Holland released his stuff, they may have done that the exact same time. But It's made this episode a pain in the ass.
God.
Because we hope we're not going to have to record this again if we get more news between now and Friday.
That's why we're intending on releasing this video early,
Yes.
just in case. So yes, instead of the Friday midnight release, you're going to get it. When should we say? Should we say later today,
You've
tomorrow?
got it now when you've got
midnight.
it. Which
Got
is
it.
basically
When you've got it now,
midnight,
basically when you see it.
well, it'll be midnight Thursday.
It doesn't matter anyway. You're like, you've got it.
You've got it.
You've got it just over a day early, so yeah.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it while you've got the lot.
Enjoy it. we might have another video for Friday, perhaps, because we already know what that's going to be anyway. So yeah, Robert Pattinson's Batman.
But yeah, thank you for watching this episode.
Yeah. Is it Pattinson or Patterson?
Robert Pattinson.
Pattinson, yeah.
But we'll see you in episode 3. We talk about the Batman. So thanks for watching again, and see you in the next one.
Yeah, ciao, 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 ciao. As of now, I'm Oliver. This is Patrick, and we are Fortune Fury. We're not so fortunate about this situation, though. For fuck's sake.
See you next time, guys.
Ciao.